Bitch by Jason Bradford. Chapter 6. She Can't Be Dead. 2007. Leah, a very outgoing 16-year-old with dyed straight black hair shiny as polished onyx, and her 14-year-old brother Jack walked up to the door of a house. The house was large, like a small mansion. It was brick with large marble pillars and complete with a fountain in the middle of the circular driveway. "If anyone asks your age," Leah told Jack, "make sure you tell them you're 16 or 17. No one here is 14 and they might make us leave." "All right," Jack responded. "I told you I won't tell them my age." Leah looked at her brother. Her eyeliner was thick. She wore all black, a short mini skirt with fishnet stockings and a silk button-down blouse. Even her lipstick was black. She was going through her goth stage, and Jack was cool with it. She didn't act any different, and she still did all the things she had always done, including maintaining her straight-A status in school. "Just remember," he added, "you promised we'd be out of here in time to see 30 Days of Night tonight." The late afternoon was crisp, and the leaves on the trees were colorful. He was surprised she wasn't wearing a jacket over her silk top. Before he could ask her if she was cold, the large oak front door swung inward, and a teenager with a drink in her hand smiled and welcomed them in. Teenagers were everywhere. The music was loud and fast. Voices tangled in the air and laughter rang through the house. Leah noticed there wasn't an adult in sight. Perhaps around the corner, in the backyard, around the pool, or upstairs, she considered. A young man noticed Leah walk in with Jack, and he immediately ran to greet them. When he reached them, he quickly kissed Leah on her cheek, and then shook Jack's hand. "I'm glad you made it," he told them. "I was going to meet you outside, but I got into a conversation with some girls by the pool and got sidetracked." Charles was a thin lad who favored puppy clothing, which he wore well, although they were a size too large for him. He was short but wiry and always had a smile that complemented his short, sandy blonde hair, which he wore messy, giving it a longer appearance than it really was. He was the only other person at the party who knew Jack's real age, but the secret was safe with him. Jack liked Charles, who had taken Leah out on a couple of dates, but tonight he wasn't going to be joining them at the movie theater. Tonight was going to belong to Jack and his sister. "Come with me," Charles told Leah, taking her by the hand and leading her toward the staircase. "You're welcome to join us," he told Jack, "but you should be warned. There are two young ladies out by the pool who are excited to meet you. They're close to your age." He leaned over and whispered the last part into Jack's ear. The deliberation was short. Jack decided to forego the huddle on the second floor and made his way out the back glass double doors so he could meet kids his age who offered a sweet perk of femininity. Charles continued to lead Leah by her hand. They entered a large bedroom ornately decorated in polished wood and marble. The thick burgundy curtains were drawn, and lowly lit lamps and candles offered a romantic and comfortable ambiance. An oversized gas fireplace at the far side of the bedroom offered its warmth and flickering, glowing magic. Kenny G was on the radio with his saxophone. It was turned down low enough to be nothing more than pleasant background noise. Several other partygoers were gathered around, chatting and laughing. Nearly all of them had a drink in their hands. A gentleman, appearing to be in his early 20s, was sitting in the corner, carrying a pleasant conversation with a couple of Leah's high school friends. It was the first adult she had seen since arriving. He was a striking man with dark red hair, green eyes, and thick facial stubble. He stood tall and confident in his wine-colored blazer, and his smile was warm and charming. He made his way to Charlie and Leah and introduced himself. "My name is Nicholas," the man offered as he shook Leah's hand. They exchanged glances, and Leah blushed. Charles noticed the awkward exchange between the two. The movie was starting in half an hour. They had been at the party for nearly 3 hours, and they were going to be late. Jack was having a great time with his new friends, but he had been planning on seeing 30 Days of Night with Leah since the trailer first advertised. Jack excused himself and made his way through the grand house, asking those he saw if they knew where Leah was. All the while, he was making his way toward the staircase, since that was the last place he had seen her. He found Charlie standing outside the closed door, thumbing the keypad on his Motorola Razr. "What's up?" Jack asked Charlie. "Where's Leah?" "She's in there." He nodded to the door beside him, appearing slightly irritated at the situation. Jack didn't carry on any conversation. He was eager to get Leah and go. He opened the door and went inside. He was in a large bedroom that still contained several teenagers. All the drinks that had been in their hands earlier were now reduced to empty glasses and plastic cups that dotted many of the flat surfaces within the room. "Where's Leah?" Jack asked out loud, ready to accept response from the first person who knew the answer. "She's in there," a young girl answered, "and she needs to hurry. Other people have to pee too." Jack gave her a look of annoyance as he headed to the closed wooden door of the ensuite. He knocked. There was no reply. He knocked harder. "Leah, it's time to go." There was still no response. "I'm coming in." He waited. Silence. He turned the knob, and it clicked free of the housing in the frame. The door swung open, and lying on the ground in a pool of vomit was Leah. She was pale and statue still. Her eyes were open and staring blankly at the ceiling. The emesis covered her chest and was in her raven hair. Jack rushed to her and threw himself on the ground, sitting on his knees in her vomit. He didn't care. He put his arms under her neck and tilted her head back. He felt for a pulse and found none. He swiped his fingers down her throat to clear the airway. It was no use. Leah was already getting cold. She was gone. A crowd had gathered just outside the door and watched as Jack clung to his dead sister and rocked with her lifeless body in his arms. The onlookers started to panic at the realization of what they were seeing. A voice from the back of the crowd cried out, "Call an ambulance!" It was Charles. "She can't be dead! She can't be dead! She can't be dead!" Jack heard nothing after that. "She can't be dead" echoed in his head and would haunt him. Jack looked beyond Leah's body and noticed an empty syringe laying on the floor. The overhead light bounced off the needle, and it seemed to shine brighter than the lights that reflected from it. Leah had a tourniquet around her left arm. The ambulance arrived, along with the coroner and the police. Statements were given, and Wanda and William arrived with Phil. The owners of the house arrived as well. Pandemonium broke out. Partygoers who had refused to leave gathered outside the house. Many sat on the brick ledge of the fountain as they wanted front row seats to the show. They removed Leah's dead body on a gurney, covered in a thin, pale sheet. She can't be dead. They loaded her into the back of the ambulance and drove off without emergency sirens. She can't be dead. Eventually, Jack and his family returned home. Their bedrooms would remain full, while Leah's would be cold and empty and serve no purpose but to remind them of her absence. She can't be dead. The open casket funeral came and went. Leah was interred with the family plot of the cemetery beside Matthew and Catherine. She can't be dead. Several surreal weeks passed. Life was now a nightmare that they couldn't wake up from. It merged with reality, and the pain seemed to make the days and everything within them move slowly. The pain was unbearable, and the healing process would be arduous. The toxicology report had arrived and was made known to the family. It was confirmed that she had overdosed on heroin, a lot of heroin. Phil started to withdraw from people and talk less and less, even at home. He spent more and more time in his room. He was hit hard, and Jack's heart broke for him as well. Wanda and Bill tried to be strong. They had lost a lot over the past 15 years. This was starting the devastation process over again. Wanda broke down a lot, and while Phil was locked in his bedroom, Wanda spent a lot of her time locked in Bill's arms. Jack still refused to believe this was his new reality. She can't be dead. He clung to this denial. But eventually, as the days and weeks passed, and the snow fell upon the frozen hard ground that held the corpse of his dead sister, Jack eventually accepted the hard truth. Leah was dead.